The Beavers of Oregon State take on UTSA, that's Texas San Antonio, and that's going to be a 5:30 Eastern tip-off in that game. The Beavers are the 10-point favorite, total at 150.5. We saw a half a point move toward Oregon State and movement downward on the total. The Beavers open 9.5 up to -10. Total open 152 down to 150 and a hook. 53% are leaning UTSA, 86% shaded toward the under. Now the Roadrunners of Texas San Antonio, they failed to cover the point spread in 6 out of their last 8. They're also shooting just 40% from the field this year. Meanwhile, the Beavers on the other side, they're averaging 80 points per contest. They're also shooting 50.3% from the field and 40% from downtown. This Oregon State squad is 8-1 straight up overall for the year, 7-2 against the spread in that same category. Tress Tinkle, he's averaging 22 points a game for the Beavers, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals. He's also shooting 49% from downtown. Beware of the Tinkle man. If he pulls up from beyond the arc, you're in trouble. Ethan Thompson, 15 points a game, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. And Kyler Kelly, 10 points a game, 4 rebounds, 5 blocks for Kyler. He's averaging per game. Now this Oregon State squad, they're allowing just 64 points per contest, and their opponents are shooting just 38% from the field. Now 6 out of Oregon State's last 9 games got over the number. Meanwhile, Texas San Antonio, 4-1 to the over in their last 5. Gotta fade the Roadrunners in this one. Give me Oregon State -10. In the over 150.5 in that game. Before we go ahead and move on, just want to take a quick timeout and welcome you to the show. Got some lines of personal leans out for Wednesday's college basketball action. Happy Wednesday, happy hump day. The weekend is almost here. We're halfway there. Now, before we go ahead and dive into some more free lines and personal leans right here on YouTube, I just want to quickly remind you to check me out on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage. We went 5-1 yesterday in our premium picks on that website. That's going to put us at 60% in our last 30 board member package plays. We're also hitting at 62% in our last 13 daily double package picks on that website. You can check out my current record for that site right now for free. All you have to do is click the link in the description section below. It's right on the homepage. That is patreon.com/BrockPage. We're getting pretty hot right now, guys, so if you're not signed up to that Patreon site, you're missing out big time. All right, let's go ahead and dive into some more free lines of personal leans right here on YouTube. All starts Eastern Standard Time. And on deck, we've got Stony Brook taking on Virginia, 6:30 Eastern tip-off in that game. Cavaliers are the 16.5-point favorite, total at 106. Gotta love it. Now, believe it or not, that is not the lowest total we've seen this year. I saw it a few days ago get down to 103. But man, 106, that is a pretty low total there. Now, we did see a half a point move toward Virginia, and we did see a little bit of movement upward on the total as well. The Cavaliers opened 16, up to -16.5. Total open 105 and a hook, up to 106. Mamadi, yeah, that's right, Mamadi, 13 points a game, 7 rebounds from the Ugandan. No, he's not from Uganda. I think he's from Ghana. But anyway, Mamadi having a hell of a year. Braxton Key, 10 points a game, 8 rebounds. He's shooting 48% from the field for Virginia. And Jay Huff, 7 rebounds per contest, 9 points a game. This could potentially get ugly. I like Virginia, -16.5 in the over 106 in that game. Couldn't take the under. I just couldn't do it. Sorry, guys. All right, next game. It is going to be Western Carolina, the Catamounts, taking on Xavier, 6:30 Eastern tip-off in that game. Xavier's the 15-point favorite, total at 148. We saw a half a point move towards Xavier and movement upward on the total. The Musketeers open 14.5 up to -15. Total open 147 up to 148. 68% are leaning Xavier, 82% shaded toward the under. The Musketeers are 9-2 straight up overall for the year, 7-0 straight up as the official home team. They rank in the top 50 in the nation in offensive rebounding. They're allowing just 64 points per contest as well. Najee Marshall, 17 points a game, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. Paul Scruggs, 16 points a game, 4 rebounds. He's also shooting 53% from the field. Tyreek Jones, 14 points a game. He's averaging double-digit rebounds as well. Now, the Xavier squad, they have marquee wins over the likes of Cincinnati, UConn, and Missouri. They're holding their opponents to just 39% shooting from the field. Now, the Catamounts of Western Carolina, they failed to cover the point spread in 3 out of their last 4. They failed to cover the spread over the likes of UNC Asheville, Stetson, and Jacksonville. Not a very impressive resume there. Meanwhile, their defense is allowing 73 points per contest. Now, total-wise, the Catamounts are 5-3 to the over in their last 8. Xavier, 6-0 to the over in their last 6 themselves. I'm going to lean Musketeers in a rout. Give me Xavier minus 15 and the over 148 in that matchup. Next game, pretty good one here on the board. We got Tennessee taking on the Bearcats of Cincinnati. 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off in that game. The Volunteers are the 1.5-point favorite, total at 130. We saw a half-a-point move toward Tennessee and movement upward on the total. The Vols open -1 up to -1.5. Total open 129.5 up to 130. 69% are leaning Tennessee. 66% shaded toward the over. 2 out of Tennessee's last 3 games they were victorious in. They're also 7-2 straight up overall for the year. They rank in the top 5 in points allowed in the nation. They have arguably the best defense in the country. They're allowing just 55 points per contest. They're also ranking the top 10 in defensive field goal percentage. Bowden's averaging 13 points a game, 4 rebounds. He's shooting 39% from beyond the arc. Turner's got 13 points a game, 4 rebounds, 7 assists for him. And Pons, 12 points a game, 5 rebounds. Pons is shooting 51% from the field. Now, this Tennessee defense is holding their opponents to just 36% from the field as well. Now, Cincinnati, really, really bad against the point spread this year. They failed to cover in 7 out of their last 8. They have an outright loss to Colgate and Bowling Green, and they failed to cover against the likes of UNLV, the Runnin' Rebels, Valparaiso, Illinois State, and Alabama A&M. Not a very good resume there. Now, total-wise, we're looking at a Tennessee squad on the other side, 6-3 to the under in their last 9. I'm going to lean Volunteers -1.5 in the under 130 in that game. Next matchup, it is going to be East Tennessee State taking on LSU. I do not have that on the board, but anyway, that is a 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off in that matchup. The Tigers are the 9.5-point favorite, total at 151.5. We saw a half-a-point move toward LSU and movement downward on the total. The Tigers open as the 9-point favorite, up to -9.5. Total open 154.5, down to 151 and a hook. 66% are leaning LSU. 54% shaded toward the under. LSU pretty good this year, and as a matter of fact, they're very good. 7-2 straight up on the year, 6-3 against the spread. They rank in the top 10 in scoring, top 5 in offensive field goal percentage. Guys, that's in the nation. That's in the country. Skylar Mays, 16 points a game, 5 rebounds. He's shooting 55% from the field. He's also averaging 2 steals a game, and he's shooting 88% from the stripe. Emmett Williams, 15 points a game, 8 rebounds, 80% from the stripe. And Darius Days, 14 points a game and 8 big rebounds a game. He's averaging, once again, Darius Days, 14 points a game, 8 rebounds. He is averaging. This LSU offense is averaging 85 points per contest, and they are shooting 52% from the field. Meanwhile, they're holding their opponents to just 38% from the field. Very difficult getting shots off against this LSU squad. One more thing to add about the Tigers. They rank in the top 45 in defensive rebounding. Now, 3 out of LSU's last 5 did get over the number. Meanwhile, East Tennessee State, 3-1 to the over in their last 4 themselves. I'm going to lean LSU -9.5 and the over 151 and a hook in that game. Next matchup, Alabama taking on Samford. That's Samford with an M. Not Stanford, Samford. Samford. Anyway, Bama taking on Samford. 7:30 Eastern tip-off in that game. The Crimson Tide are the 9-point favorite, total at 158. Saw a 1-point move toward Alabama and movement downward on the total. The Crimson Tide open as the 8-point favorite, up to -9. Total open 158.5, down to 158. 69% are leaning Alabama, 59% shaded toward the under. Right now, Samford, 2-1 straight up in their last 3. 3-0 against the spread as the home team. They're averaging 78 points per contest, 46% shooting from the field. They're also shooting 39.3% from downtown. Now, defensively, their opponents are shooting just 28% from downtown themselves. The Samford squad ranks in the top 35 in the nation in home rebounding. Now, Bama on the other side, 2-3 straight up in their last 5. They're also just 1-4 straight up when traveling. They're allowing 77 points per contest, and they're shooting just they're allowing their opponents to shoot 46% from the field on the road. Total-wise, we're looking at an Alabama team who's 5-4 to the over for the year. Samford, 3 out of their last 4 got over the total. I'm going to lean toward the underdog in this one. Give me Samford +9 and the over 158 in that contest. Next matchup. St. Mary's taking on Arizona State, 9 o'clock Eastern tip-off in that game. St. Mary's is the 2.5-point favorite, total at 138. Saw a 1.5-point move toward St. Mary's and movement downward on the total. They open as the 1-point favorite, up to -2.5. Total open 138.5 down to 138 even. 52% are leaning Arizona State, 81% shaded toward the over. St. Mary's has failed to cover in 3 out of their last 4 games. They're just 4-7 against the spread overall for the year. They failed to cover against the likes of Northern Illinois, Nebraska, Omaha, and Lehigh University out of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, the old steel town. Anyway, Arizona on the other side, 8-2 straight up on the year, 6-3 against the spread in their last 9. They have successful covers over the likes of San Francisco, the Dons, who do nothing but score points. San Francisco can really put up some points. But anyway, they have successful covers over the likes of San Francisco, Virginia, and St. John's. This Arizona State offense is averaging 76 points per contest. Meanwhile, they're giving up just 63 a game. They rank in the top 15 in defensive three-point percentage. Now, total-wise, Arizona State 9-1 to the under in their last 10. I'm going to purchase the 0.5 point, buy it up, and lean toward another underdog. Give me Arizona State +3 and the under 138 in that game. Of course, I'm going to slide my next and final matchup for the show. It is going to be UNC taking on Gonzaga. 9 o'clock Eastern tip-off in that game. The Bulldogs of Gonzaga are -11.5. I always struggle with that word because I want to say Gonzaga, but people tell me it's wrong. They say it's Gonzaga, Zag. But anyway, Gonzaga, they are -11.5, total 145 and a hook. We saw a 1-point move toward Gonzaga and movement downward on the total. The Bulldogs open 10.5 up to 11.5. Total open 146 down to 145 and a hook. 68% are leaning Bulldogs, 84% shaded toward the over. Now, if you like the Tar Heels in this matchup here, I think it's a little bit more of a nostalgic play. The name certainly has clout, but they're not backing it up. And as a matter of fact, they are 2-8 against the spread overall for the year. 1-4 straight up in their last 5. They failed to cover against the likes of Wofford, Elon, Gardner-Webb, and UNC Wilmington. That's terrible. They're averaging just 68 points per game. They're shooting 39% from the field, and they're shooting just 28% from downtown. This UNC squad really, really struggling. Granted, pretty tough schedule as of late. Now Gonzaga on the other side, 3-0 straight up in their last 3, 11-1 straight up overall for the year, 8-4 against the spread in those 12 games. They have successful covers over the likes of Arizona, Washington, and Texas A&M. They rank in the top 5 in scoring in the nation. They're also in the top 15 in offensive field goal percentage. They're averaging 86 points per contest, and they're shooting 50% from the field. One more thing to add about Gonzaga, they rank in the top 20 in the country in offensive rebounding. Now, Gonzaga's 6-0 to the over in their last 6, 9-3 to the over for the season. I'm going to lean Gonzaga Bulldogs -11.5 and the over 145.5 in that game. All right, let's go ahead and slide into our quick pick recap brought to you by patreon.com/BrockPage, where we went 5-1 yesterday in our premium picks on that website. That's going to put us at 60% our last 30 board member package plays on that site. I like Gonzaga -11.5 over 145 and a hook. Arizona State +3 under 138. Samford +9 over 158. LSU -9.5 over 151 and a hook. Tennessee -1.5 under 130. Xavier minus 15 over 148. Virginia Cavaliers minus 16.5 over 106. And last but certainly not least, I like Oregon State minus 10 in the over 150.5 in that matchup. All right, let's go ahead and dive into some shout-outs. Once again, brought to you by patreon.com/BrockPage. Shout out to GT, Thaddeus Pugh, Golden Rock 125. Shout out to Billy Boogaloo, Donut _ Jordan 15-11. Shout out to David Isaacson, Bookman Dude 22. Shout out to Andrew Gonzalez, Manroop Alaka, LJ2K, Young Ho Kookie, Vince Vaughn, Malagos Tremont, Pedro Mayi, and last but certainly not least, got to give a shout out to 88 Laron. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. Once again, don't forget to check me out on my Patreon website. Link is in the description section below. We went 5-1 in our 6 premium picks on that site. We're also hitting at 60% in our last 30 board member package plays on that site as well. And we're hitting at 62% in our last 13 daily double package picks on that website. Now, what we do here on YouTube is we handicap every single game on the board, or nearly every single game on the board, both the side and the total. Now, I'm going to tell you this much. If you were to bet your hard-earned money on every single game on the board, side and total, you're guaranteed to lose in the long run. And as a matter of fact, you're probably going to end up losing in the short run as well. The math is against you. The books are too smart. They're too sharp. It's just really not a winning formula for success. So what we do on Patreon is we really give ourselves a chance to win. We nail it down. We focus in on 3 to 4 premium selections per day. They're high percentage selections, games that I personally have action on. And I'll tell you this much. My current record on Patreon is a whole lot better than it is handicapping every single game on YouTube, throwing darts, handicapping every game side and total. So you can actually check out my current Patreon record for free right now. I invite you to do that. Link for that site is in the description section below. That's patreon.com/BrockPage. But most importantly, guys, I do have to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. I really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. Happy Wednesday to you. Happy Hump Day to you. And I look forward to seeing you more on patreon.com/BrockPage.